This is a UFO incident what happened in 3rd of September 1965. Absolutely brilliant. Really is brilliant story, this one. It's documented immensely. And the trouble is, it's gone under the umbrella. We've heard of Betty and Bonnie. I think it is in 61. Say this happened in 1965, 3rd September. Same area, New Hampshire. This happened in Kensington. I think they call it the Exeter incident, but it actually happened in Kensington, about 5 miles away from Exeter. But it really good story. It was a chap called Norman Musk. I have to look at his name. I'm terrible with names. Muscarello. I've known about the story since I was a young boy. I should really remember the name. Norman Muscarello. And he sounded a fantastic chap. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2002. But he was 18 when this happened. And when we were young, his mum worked hard and she was a clean, did all sorts of hours. I'm telling you a small story about him because it's important to know what a lovely chap he was. Because he weren't the sort of person who would tell stories or lie. So I thought I'd make sure, try and get this background a bit. He got up early and he used to put the logs on the boiler, and he had a little job because he's to help out at home. So he got himself a little job. Only thing he ever spent his own money on was guitar lessons. And then he learnt the guitar so hard he cut all his fingers. I'm explaining all this just to show you what a sort of nice lad he was. He was a very good person. He used to cook for his for his family. It was a good guy. He's not a sort of one to tell lies or, you know. And the story what he told, he never made no money of it. Not where the Betty and Barney ill, they made money out of it, which I believe their story. Don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, this chap and his family never made any money out of it. I wish they had, because it would have helped them loads. But unfortunately, they never made anything. But it happened, like I say, 1965, September 3rd, at 2:30. We know this because it was documented. Police documented it. He was walking home from a friend's house. He left about 2 o'clock-ish, and a short while after, he saw a bright light quite some distance away. He described it had been a red several lights. Sometimes the description of 5 lights, but several lights underneath this dome shape, this shape, quite a distance away. He's saying. Then suddenly, from the distance away, it was there next up to him. Quite instantly. Didn't see it move. 1 minute it was half a mile away. The next minute it's just a few hundred yards away. There was no saw it moving. It was instant. So it obviously unnerved the lad. So he started to make tracks getting away. But then the craft followed him. It got closer and followed him. So he didn't just see it for a few seconds. This went on for some minutes. Anyway, he got a bit a bit scared and agitated, so he started to make tracks a little bit faster, as you would, and started to run. And then suddenly, the craft just boom shot off. After about several minutes, it can only be assumed because there was a car coming. He always thought because the car coming, they must have sensed it and shot off. Anyway, he flagged it down and he told them the story, and they took him to the police station. And he told the police station at the Exeter, I think Exeter, it may have been at Kensington, a small police station, and they told a dispatcher, her name was, I'll tell you his name actually, name was something, Scratch Toland. Yeah, no, I couldn't remember that. And the dispatch told him, he advised an officer Eugene Bertrand Jr. I think I'm saying that right. Well, this police officer took Norman to the place where he described it happening. And so they went out, only a few minutes away, and they couldn't see anything first off. Didn't see anything. And then just after about 3 or 4 minutes, over the tree line, there it was, the same craft, red glowy, and just as the Norman described to the dispatcher at the police station, and there it was, and it came closer, and again it starts to get closer and closer, just as it did to Norman first off. Then another police officer turned up, and Mr. Police Officer David Hunt, in another police car, and he also saw it. And they sat there, got out of the cars and stood there rather, looking at this. They seemed though described a UFO. Not once did they ever say they ever thought it from outer space. They just unidentified flying object, and that's all they said. They didn't speculate where it was from. But they just said UFO, and they all three saw it for several minutes. It wasn't just a few seconds, and then just as then they were getting other calls coming in from. I think it was here we are. It was Hampton and Raymond um, uh, towns, and they also saw the same thing. Described exactly the same thing to the dispatcher Toland, and he started to dispatch police to interview those people out there as well. Anyway, this went on for a few minutes, then it just shot off again. The craft just 1 minute it was there. They didn't just see it move. Flight it just went, just gone. It's as if it disappeared. It probably went that fast. They didn't see it. They had no abduction, nothing without that were reported, or nothing. But from the first instance to the police officers, they're looking at 15 minutes looking at it, and then we had other people looking at it and also reporting to police, and that kept to the same story all the way through the life. There was a Jean, and I can't remember the couple's name actually. They also reported to police. Quite a few people reported it. Anyway, Norman. Reason why I explained this, it was he was walking because he'd sold his car, as I understand, because he just joined the Navy because the Vietnam War going. So he volunteered. He was like a Boy Scout, and I think that sort of gave him inclination. He thought it might be useful, so he joined the Navy. He went in to be an officer, or became an officer, and that's basically it. He did 3 tours, and he always kept his same story, even though he did 3 tours on USS Boston military ship. No matter what happened, he still kept his same story. And even when he was doing his officers training, and his family needed money, he could have sold his story. There were media from China and everywhere, right around the world, going to his family's house. And in fact, one incident, his mum reported that a local airbase, some US Air Force came, and he wasn't a very nice person. He gave his siblings 50 cents to go to shop and get something, and he sort of more interrogated her, and she described having a book, a blue book, official what you called it, which we've all heard about these things. But they have but you can imagine, we all know when she's going to have a special operation where they just want to interview people, and that it was just that Operation Blue Book. What happened to the interview, I don't know. But she described the interview wasn't a very pleasant person. Then he went, but Norman never got interviewed by them. He was at Michigan Naval Base Academy doing his training, and while he was there, all the media descended onto him, and they sneaked into and got in somehow. and his commander said, if you don't get rid of these media, we're going to kick you out because they're interrupting everything. So he had no choice, but he signed all the affidavits, he gave everything away. He said, basically, I'll tell you my story, just go, you can have it for free, and not knowing really what he was signing. And they did. And all these media companies went away and they made a lot of money. Some even wrote books about it, made millions and millions of pounds. I think, in fact, there could be another book coming out about this particular story, but his family won't make any money. And I think there's a film coming out, Betty and Barney. It's about to come out next probably year, as far as I understand. And this is going to encapsulate this about Norman Muscarello, which is a shame. You should think his family should really, if there's any left, should benefit somehow. But they didn't, because when he signed all those things away just to get rid of them off the base, he signed his giving all this information for free, basically, and that's what he did. Unfortunately, the poor lad. But he never complained. He did his 3 tours, then he got discharged. And the last time he spoke about this story was to an high school, local high school in, I think it was Kensington or Exeter, that area. And because there were students doing a talk about his sighting, so he went to the high school and he told them exactly what he'd always said from since he was 18. So he never changed his story at all. It happened on Route 150. Don't know Route 150. I don't know Kensington, I don't know the area, but it happened on Route 150 if anybody's interested. He described it going over an house just before he got it, before he started hitchhiking, because the house that he went to, what we were going over, he ran to it to tell them, you've got something over your house, and it's all glowy, because as they were trying to get out, the thing went over to it. It frightened him so much, and that's when the car came, and then he went in there and it flew off. So yeah, it was definitely chasing him, or rather following him. So it probably had intentions, didn't it? Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, it was spotted by many people, and it was a frightening episode, to be honest, of his life. But he coped with it, and he never changed his story. Yeah, but can you imagine running up this at 2 o'clock in the morning, up a lane, and you're running into an house, and this thing's could be from anywhere in the entire universe. He's what coming next to you, just a few yards away, and then he's running into an house. It goes over an house, glowing over it, and they're knocking at the door. And then it shoots off, and you think, what is this thing? And you're always wondering in the back of your mind, is it going to come back? Because how many times do you hear when people do get these sightings, they do seem to come back, but he never did. If it ever did come back to him, he never once reported it or told the story. I mean, he could have done it, but it was a nice bloke. I wished I could have met him, yeah, but unfortunately he passed, let's say 2002. But yeah, it's yeah, but it's well documented. If you get a chance, the police officers documented it incredibly well. At the time, there was tons and tons of media descended on the place, and there were films in all sorts of languages. But like I say, there's a new film coming out now. It's supposed to be more accurate, as far as I know. But how can it be if they haven't spoken to the person? Because it gets muddled up, doesn't it? It'll probably get elaborated and say he's been abducted and what have you. They exaggerate things, but you don't need to exaggerate it because it's such a good story. It's such a, you know, by a great guy. And the police officers described it perfectly. It was seen it for several minutes, but totally silent. That's what got me. Totally silent. I mean, the only colour underneath it was a red line, which is familiar because I remember my granddad telling me, sorry, my uncle, not my granddad, my uncle telling me story, and like seesaw was underneath, was the same colour, sounding the same craft, if I'm honest. So, or same type, but it shows that there is things, isn't there? There really is out there. I mean, it's easy to say, well, we've definitely made it, but I don't think we made that one. I think humans aren't capable of doing that one. I think we're even at 1960, we're capable of doing many things, but there's still a lot out there, you know, which we don't know. Oh, I don't know anyway. I'm sure somebody does. But anyway, I hope you like the story. It's a perfectly true story. I think they call it the Exeter incident. So I'm not quite sure why, because it happened in Kensington. He first saw it just outside in a field, and that, I think, as far as I know, that's 5 miles from Exeter. Um, but I don't know the area. Maybe I'm presuming Exeter's a bigger place, you know. But yeah, it's a great story. It's I just wish the guy benefited by it from books and stuff, and not these strange people. You didn't see it. A shame. Anyway, God bless. Hope you enjoyed the story. Totally true. Thank you.